Mr. Watkins, could you do the invocation?
God, we just praise you for this day. Just wake us up, Lord. And God, just pray that, God, that we just do your business and your will, Father. And God, just pray for this meeting. God, give us clear minds. God, we pray for those who are sick, Lord. Pray you just, God, you just watch over them, Lord, and heal them, God. And God, we just love you so much. We just thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Sir. Dick Lowe.
Here.
Frankie Hargis. Present. Bill Anglin.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Joe Bird. Julia Coates. Jody Fishinghawk. Meredith Rayleigh. Janelle Fulbright. Present. Don Garvin. Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
Hannah Glory Jordan.
Present.
Lee Keener.
Here, go on.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
David Thornton. David Walking Stick. Sarah Cowan Watts.
Honey.
We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. On number one, we have resolution 13-085. Janelle, could you read us through that one, please?
Resolution approving and authorizing the submission of the fiscal year 2014 Indian Housing Plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And I move for its approval.
Second.
Without objection, should I be added as a consequence?
Not? There may be it. I'll say aye. Also want to get.
Okay. All who would like to be added, kind of raise your hand, or is it just everybody? I think it's everybody. Thank you. Mr. Qualls, could you come forward, please? I think everybody's had a chance to look at this. I think I'm just going to go ahead and open it to questions and comments. Mr. Walkenstick, raise your hand first.
Hey, Mr. Walls. Yes. What's the deadline on the screen? What's the deadline on the screen? July 18th. We got this in our hands. I mean, this concerns me a little bit. We got this in our hands a few weeks ago. Is there any way in the future we could get this done at an earlier date?
Certainly, we'll do it a month ahead of time.
Sure. I mean, that'd be good. With this much money and this much at stake, there's a lot could go wrong. And at this point, we're probably having to maybe drive it and deliver it. I mean, it's too crucial to put it in the mail and all that. But besides that, everything will be good.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll do it, make sure.
You're welcome. Mr. Walken?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Qualls, thank you for being here today to answer questions. So this is not different than what you passed out earlier, right? This is the same thing that's in our books, what we passed out. Okay. And overall, how does this get us to new home construction? Like, what part of the budget is going to deliver, or is that going to be through the loan program?
So, yeah, that's through the Housing Authority. They have a loan program for new construction.
So that's why that's where the $4 million had been in fiscal year 2013. $4 million had been allocated, but now it's going down to zero, and that's to use the bank loans, not program income. So do we anticipate spending $4 million? I'm trying to figure out how to answer people's questions. So
For
it
home
just in bank
construction,
loans, yes.
that would be a very.
I'm not sure why that was put in there to begin with, because in order for not everyone, that money could not be used for very many homes, because they would have to be in the hospital, which would be and there's some that do, there's some that don't. I think the original intent was that that money was kind of put in so for folks who might have needed wells or different things like that, where that could be done, but there was actually a need to use that money across some other hospice-assisted programs. So it just made more sense that money be used in the HUSD and then that the new construction program be fully non-federal funded. That helps answer the question.
That does. And then I'm trying to go through it, and I'm sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth.
And,
so
yeah, did you get the summary sheet too?
Yes, so I have a summary sheet, but I also have lots of questions. So on the modernization, it says Cherokee in parentheses, so I guess that's Cherokee only for repair for low rent units, that's page 10. So do you adjust any for high income areas like Rogers and Tulsa County? Or is that across, that's just going to be the national median period?
On page 10? Okay, modernization only covers our own units.
Okay,
So it doesn't
so they
matter
already
where.
have to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be units that we own and manage.
So on the Title VI subsidy, and that's page 18, subsidized repayment of loan guarantee under Title VI. So how is this actually implemented? Who's going to build the homes, where, and how many?
No. This is the old program. This isn't a new
Okay, so
program.
this is existing.
That's the existing Title VI. Under the existing Title VI program, part of Title VI is part of your block grant is used as collateral for the Title VI loan. So we usually put in some money every year to help subsidize that amount so we can pay it down. I think now we are at, don't hold me to it, but I want to say maybe around $11-12 million of a $33.5 million note. So we have already paid it down over half, and we're about somewhere around there.
Because remember, Title VI is the one that we carry. So we've had it constructed, like the ones in Catoosa.
Yeah.
Okay. And all those are going to only, right? I keep meaning to ask you that. All those have been sold, is that correct over there?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. I applaud you on the map for our goal of 750 in terms of financial counseling.
And that's actually on Anna's program. But I'm sure she's there.
So on page 21, on rehab repair, it's home ownership rehab. It says Native American families whose incomes are at 100% or below the national median income, but any percentage of families over 80% would be paid with tribal funds. And there's rehab assistance averaging $27,000 per grant. So, and you've got targeted 230. So how do we separate this out? Like, do we already have this allocated, or where's that going to show up for the tribal fund amount? How's that shown from a budget perspective?
There was $96,000 allocated for those families that were over 80% national.
So total in the budget is $96,000 in tribal funds. Is that?
Yeah, that was the total. That was the total of the previous year.
Okay, but we're only paying a prorated amount where it's over the 80%, if I read that correctly.
If the family is over 80%. Because if the family is over 80% of the national median, can't subsidize
When the funding, when tribal funding is used, it would be used as an example. If someone we're helping is 86% of the national median, that's 6% of the assistance.
Okay. And then on page 22, the self-help home repair, you only have 15 designated. I thought that this program was something that was used often. Is it not? That we would only have 15 for the whole tribe for the year?
No, the self-help program, if I'm not mistaken,
Home
is the-
repair.
I just
On page 22.
Just a point of clarification, Kara, could you tell us what page you're on?
Yes, so page 22, yes,
Okay.
self-help home repair. Yeah, please let me know if it's not, if I'm not keeping up.
What that is the self-help homes, we're finishing up the last 7, of course, this year. Each of the homes that we've built carry a year warranty. This is to make sure that any repairs that may need made within the first year of those homes, we have the funds to repair those.
Okay, so this is not self-help the way I was thinking about it, that
Right.
there's the self-help
Right.
repairs,
Right.
okay.
It's to cover the year warranty on those old self-help homes. And those should actually all be done within 14, so this may probably not be on 15.
And then we closed out that program, it no
Yes.
longer exists after we close out those programs. Thank you. And then now I'm on page 26. So under eligibility, I mean, we're really good about being specific around Cherokee Nation citizenship ownership, but now it's eligible Native American families. So does this get us into trouble? Because how do you define, I mean, we're specific in other areas, but then we get to this page and we're not. So I was trying to figure out what was going on, why this would be different.
Which line are you reading?
Like, what does eligible mean? If on 1.6 on page 26, who will be assisted? Eligible Native American families. What does eligible mean, and who are Native American families?
It's the same as, it's the same as before. I think probably what these were, it's NAHS eligible families, 80% or less. And Native Americans, we can give Cherokee preference, but we cannot restrict it to Cherokees.
So I was wondering,
Because it's federal law.
this leads us up to potential, because they're going to look to this if there were a lawsuit or such, right? They wouldn't, like in terms of who we're supposed to, because I know this is in the past has been an issue because people think that millionaires have accessed this program.
No, I didn't even know all my stuff.
It's only,
Okay, I mean, now,
80% of the national median income is what we want. And that's just saying, we're going to.
Does this need to be amended here in this language to be more specific like other pages are? You can just put it another way.
Say what?
To say something more specific than eligible Native American families.
I think what they're looking at is this right here. Yeah, it's this wording.
Like even on page
Previous
25.
Oh, to say 80%?
Something more like eligible Native American families.
Here it just says.
I don't know how that gets then interpreted. I mean, we go from being specific in other pages. I'm just trying to figure out, make sure that we're.
The eligibility criteria is 80% national. We can put 80% in there, but 80% is what's used.
Okay. On page 28 on transitional housing, I was trying to think of it in the bigger scope of the deal, and for some reason I've never caught this program, never understood we had this. So it appears like we have emergency placement housing and we have transitional housing, and I was trying to figure out what the difference is between there's like 2 or 3 programs, I guess, that are similar. So would you help me understand?
I don't see Jerry or Marcia here, so I'm not 100% sure. But I believe that this program is the one that helps assist with security deposits and back rent. Our rental assistance programs can only assist with current rent. We can't go back and help with back payments or back rent. If someone was to lose their job and got behind on their rent and needed help for a month or so.
And so this is supposed to serve 2,000 households, and we would access through Human Services. Okay, because I don't remember ever being able to know about this program for constituents. So
Yeah, it's on. And they use that program a lot. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the program they use a lot for family. Anytime someone goes in for family assistance, the family assistance folks.
no, this is great.
Are the ones that they have. And they basically what they look at is see what program they need.
Okay, well, very good. No, this was eye-opening.
Well,
So-
1.7 is the description of that.
On page 29, on the project-based college housing assistance, and I get this is NSU and RSU, which is great. Does it include the food program? So if we're putting them in the dorms, does it
No.
include
No,
food?
doesn't buy food.
All we can help with is housing.
See, I was thinking that at NSU, that it bought food, and we've got an exception from Nahasda to do that.
They started that way, and they quit.
Also, for eligible housing activity.
Okay. On page 30, on Delaware Tribe Resident Services, so this goes for the Chelsea Boys and Girls Club then, right?
Yeah. that's what they do. This is pass through to them.
And I was trying to match it to the sheet. Is it like 80,000? I don't have matching numbers, and the AU numbers aren't on
What
there.
section is it? 18.
I need to dig out my glasses.
Just here, no, on the page. 18.4. 18.4.
Oh, there it is. The Title 6 debt sub, no, that's 18. Page number 30.
Community Youth Resident Services,
So it's 79,567.
that's what it looks like.
And so where do we get that count from them? Because that seems low for that program on terms of 38. So that's only based on their Delaware housing numbers is only what we're going to fund for that.
And they send us the information and we put it in here. This is just
Okay.
the password.
On page 35, resident adult services. So what are some, it says Claremore in there, so, and that there's like 500, can you give me some examples of what's being provided like right now under that budget at Claremore? Because I don't remember anything being provided in some time. So if they have budget money that's not being spent, I want to make sure they're getting page 35, resident adult services. It looks like fun stuff for our housing folks and senior housing, so.
Resident Adult Services, 18.9.
Yes, they're doing the same activities with adults as they do with youth when they go out. Teach cultural stuff.
For the most part, I read your reports every month in detail. I don't recall anything at Claremore Senior Housing in probably 3 years or something.
We don't, housing doesn't administer.
That,
No, because I'll read about.
there has been no
them going
activity in that this year.
through. So there's money being allocated for our seniors over there, so how do we remedy this? Because if we're going to approve this today, we want to make sure it gets spent where.
And this is 2014 budget year too.
I
So
assume
we're
it's,
looking at-
I assume it's in past budgets, right?
It's a personnel issue. Maybe we can talk later. Probably not right here.
Okay. So, fair enough. And then page 38, on the one-stop application centers in Collinsville, yay. Hours of operation and days of week.
That's again, that's shop.
Page 38.
You want to know the hours on there?
Yep.
Right now, Tuesdays, from 9 to 4. And then as traffic flow increases, we can increase the hours there. But right now, we're getting maybe 4 to 8.
Can we do a news release on it and get that over to us?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Anna.
Councilor Watts, do you anticipate a lot more questions on these?
I'm trying to skip over as much stuff
I've
as
got two
possible.
more. Could I?
Can they come back to me?
Yes, I will.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. Jeff, will-
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And really, this follows up on what Councilor Karen Watts was talking about the adult, resident adult services. You know, I don't know if it came out of the same budget years ago, but years ago at Buffington Heights, the low-income unit at Bonita, sometimes the elders would get together in the community room. Sometimes they would take trips. I think they went down to Tahlequah, maybe the Heritage Center, I don't know. But every time I talk to those folks, they tell me, that's what the way it used to be, a long time ago. So what I'm wondering is it also a personnel issue with being able to address those needs at Bonita? And we don't have to, if it is, we can discuss it in another context, but
Yeah, the individuals that perform that service, personnel issue.
at Bonita in particular, Buffington Heights, I think the office is open a couple days a week, which might meet the demands for the traditional sort of landlord stuff, taking care of paperwork. But what it means for those folks is that the community rooms are effectively not available to them to even to get. I mean, they used to get together and they would just do arts and crafts. Some of the elders and I don't know if you open it up today 5 days a week, if you'd initially see them come back in the building, because there's different folks that live out there. It's transition over time. But I'd like to see us use some of that money for that, to try to get these folks engaged in their community there. I think it makes for a better low-income housing complex if they can do those sorts of things. It looks like, and I talked to both of you before, I know you guys this is something you guys care about too, but I'd like to see it up there. And probably the same true of No Water, Mr. Chairman. I think there's, is there a common area there?
And it, well, it's not from housing, but it's from the nutrition side and the clinic.
Right.
And so it's not with these fellows.
I got you, but at the low income
All
and
of the
no
low,
water.
all of our low rent apartment sites does have a community common area.
Okay.
Now, some are used as like elder nutrition sites or for other things, but for the most part, all of them do. And we used to have a social services program that did lots and lots of those activities from, I mean, they would do arts and crafts projects, I mean, quilting, all kinds of stuff. And we have not had that anymore.
And are the community youth funds, are they also for activities at the low-income units for youth? Okay.
It's for eligible residents, so someone residing in one of the, in any hospice system.
So what I'd really like to see in the next in this fiscal year 2014 is a real sort of noticeable change, if we can, in what we're doing with low-income units with these funds. Because when our folks see that we've got these money, they say, hey, you know, what happened to the way it used to be? But I know you guys are on it, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
And I've got Lee, David, and Don coming up next, and then we'll get back to Ms. Watts. Lee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll try to keep my questions brief. I guess my first question is on the realty service, the 40,000 not needed, no, any longer 14. What service will you be using, or
No increases needed.
No increase needed. Okay, all right, good.
The amount stays the same.
Okay, and on the marshal service and legal resources, do you know what the breakdown is on those two?
The breakdown.
On this, like, $1 goes to marshal and $2 goes to legal, or
No, it's all law enforcement activities.
so legal resources? I can just cross that off. Or? I see they have an increase of 47 cents. That's what maybe noticed.
Look
that.
at it.
Yeah.
I would have to look back at that particular section, which would probably be around 19 maybe.
Okay.
And we can see what it's for back there. 21.1. And it's for, they provide law enforcement and crime and drug prevention activities to IHPG assisted units. They do drug reduction and crime prevention activities, which I'm thinking is probably where that legal resource.
All right.
Where
Okay. And the realty service, they do all your deeds and
No. I think this part of realty services is to help with probate, things of that nature.
where's the paperwork? Is that the office or administration of this?
What?
Paperwork for the homes and so forth?
Which homes are we talking about?
Yeah, overhead. Any, like if you're going to give someone a home and they have to fill out paperwork, say we'll make these payments every month or whatever.
On a house activity, it falls under housing services.
Okay. And we're going to hit on the mortgage assistance, we're going to up that from 15 to 25,
With some restrictions, I believe.
but no increase in budget.
Now,
So
because
that's-
I think if you look back at the APR from last year, there was still quite a bit of money left.
Right. We were budgeted at 280, and we've been consistently performing at about 150, so with the same amount that
So you'll be able to help the same amount of people basically, but help them more.
yes, we'll be able to help them find more house or help them get into their house.
Okay, that sounds good. And the self-help ownership has been discontinued, is that right? And what's going to replace that?
Yeah, actually, I think that line item in here was to make comparison to the self-help units that we have back there.
Okay, that's only for the ones we have. That's the only one, the one Cherokee Nation has. Right.
And I think you know one of those up in your areas.
Yes, right. Okay. Okay, and also on the 4 million, let's see, what was that line? I wouldn't, I was listening, but I didn't quite fully understand that, or the 40 million I just said. Did that go, or the 400,000, 4 million? I didn't quite understand the explanation for that one. And that was on, rental assistance. That'll stay the same.
Rental assistance is based the same at 4 million, and it's based on a number of units.
Okay.
There's a part of the hospital that gets based on a formula. Formula current assistance doc is based on how many Section 8 units we have back when we were in the hospital. That's kind of what we based on.
Okay. And on the personnel issues that we were discussing a couple of times,
Special reports on resident services and social services.
whatever that personnel issue is, let's get that resolved as quickly as we can, please. That should stand in the way of someone getting help. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Council report?
Yes. Most of my statements, I may have a question too. When does this housing budget take effect?
This one? This would be, this is the 2014 Indian Housing Plan, so it would be fiscal year 2015. No, it's going to effect October 1, 2015. We would start using it October 1st of 2015.
And that'd be 2 years from now, what you're saying.
Yeah, these activities is when this plan would go into effect, right?
I mean, if it's going to be 2 years from now, we'll have to have it in by next.
Now you could, start using it at the beginning of the fiscal year. However, you might not get your money for quite some time. We're we're starting the fourth quarter of this year, and we still are waiting. I think you seen an announcement a few weeks ago where I had to release some money. That's the 2013.
Starting the fourth quarter of 2011?
We haven't received 2013 funds yet.
So we're using 2012.
We're using 2000.
We're using 12 money right now.
Oh,
So this is money that will be 14 money.
okay.
That we would use in 15. We operate about a fiscal year behind because we don't know when the money's going to be coming back.
I'm really high on this mortgage assistance program. I can remember in the early 2000s, we had like 500,000 in there or something like that. And we were helping people with 10,000 a year or 5,000 or something like that. And I'd like to see the step up that you took.
I think it started at 5 or 8 or somewhere around there, and it slowly came up.
Yeah, I was really high to bring that up to $1 million one in 2000, early 2000. So I like to see that done. What my next question would be is the people that already have their application in been approved and they don't build a house, will this 25,000 jump up from 15,000 for them if they don't have anything done until after, what, 2015? Is that what you said? Will that funding come up for them if they've already done?
I'm going to defer to Anna because it's a mortgage assistance question.
We intend for the 25,000 we mentioned to increase right away.
Anna, could you come forward? I can't hear you.
I can't.
Thank you.
I tried to stay off camera.
I know.
We intend to implement the $25,000 increase in July this year out of this year's budget. We have to finish our policies first, though, and as soon as we get the policies approved and signed, then we'll start doing some press on it and we'll implement it right away. For those that have already received the funding this year, we don't intend to go back and
Ones
assist
that
them.
have not received the funding but have been approved.
They will get it. As long as they haven't closed, they'll get it if they close after we implement it.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm so glad we went up because I'm so tired of hearing what the Choctaws do.
Well, we can't let them get ahead of us.
And I'm, kind of tired of the Choctaws, period. Because they've been trying to run our business over here. They've been doing pretty good job of it. But anyway, thank you very much.
Counselor, was that all?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Garvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a real complicated plan. I know you've worked hard on it, and I've seen a lot of these plans over the years. And the Marty's assistance is one of the greatest part, I think, in the whole thing. But started out, I think David and I worked on this before, at about 5,000, I believe. And I'm real glad you're kicking it up to 20,000, plus 5,000 to help on the appliances. And if they don't use that, it goes on the balance of their loan. So that's fantastic. Is there any way of knowing about maximum income to qualify?
Yeah, it's based on family size, and the income limits change every year, but, I mean, we can...
Let's just say a young couple making 50,000.
How many's in the family?
Just a young couple.
Couple, two?
Both incomes.
It would probably be 52, 53.
Don't have.
I don't have it in front of me.
For
So I can,
family four,
it's almost 50, so we're looking at 47 probably. 42? 42 for family of two.
42. Okay. On the same point, the minimum, there's a minimum somewhere in it.
No, not for in the hospital.
But our present program is $300 a month.
No. That's not a part of this package.
I know it's
That's
not.
new construction.
But on new construction, they have to make at least 36,000,
No, 15,000 a year.
15,000. It's a real good program, and I strongly support it, and I'm going to vote for it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Counselor Christian Hall?
I know I got in here late, and I understand the mortgage assistance is going up to 25,000, which I'm very happy with. What else? Water, individual. Water, how much has it increased from fiscal year 13, 14, fiscal year 13?
For what now, I'm sorry?
The individual water, sewer, is any of it in here?
Previously, our water and sanitation received 500,000. They're receiving, I think, exactly that amount.
Did we not run out last? We used, in past years, we used to run out.
We haven't run out this year.
We haven't run out this year. Okay.
Now, and in order to use this funding, those folks would have to be income eligible. For IHS, there's a different limits, yeah. But because it's NAHASA, they have to fall within that.
Okay,
80% or less.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say last time we had this, did we put more money in individual?
I have been told that you're right, that previously there was tribal funds used for water and sanitation, and there was always a running low or running out of the funds.
Okay.
But this year there's 500,000.
Talk to me about environmental reviews. I have never seen environmental reviews hold up so much in my life.
Environmental review.
Yes. What was the question, ma'am?
Talk to me about Nahasta and tribal monies, environmental reviews.
Depends on what kind of environmental review you're doing.
I can do that. We do an overall administrative environmental review, any kind of environmental testing, whether it be environmental site assessments, NEPA reviews, PERC tests, things like that. Those can be done without a separate environmental review, but each of the other activities that we do a separate environmental review. We try to aggregate them. Let's say there's a housing area and we're doing housing assistance for 3 participants. We do those all in the same environmental review. You can aggregate on processes that you do or geographic location. So if it's practical to push those all together and do one document, we do that.
Is it the money that holds them up? Is it just?
No, if we accept these federal funds, and with that, we just have hoops we have to jump through. If we disturb the ground, we have to consult, because we don't have what we call a FIPO, or a
tribal historic preservation officer. We have to consult with the state if there's any possibility of archaeological interest with that. Just as an example, we're using some federal money on our hospital. Now it's outside of the Nahaza stuff, but we're doing a major archaeological field inspection over at Hastings for that expansion.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the last question, and I'm guessing it may be for Ron Paul, because I've been dealing with him. Them sitcoms that Marvin Jones and Charlie and them did, that they didn't get the mortgages for, or they're not getting paid for. There's nothing like that in here anymore, are they?
No.
In this?
No. There's some potential rehab that's in this. It's IHB, but this will most likely be the last one. It's the warranty work. We have to go back on some of these, so we're doing some warranty work.
On the homes, they didn't pay for?
Oh, no, we're not doing it.
That's the ones I'm talking about. Before you got here, there was some sitcoms, and there's quite a few in Adair County.
Actually,
Well, they didn't get no mortgage signed, nothing signed.
There's 6 or
So
7.
we're giving them homes, and there's what? And then that program, that ended up being quite a bit of money tied up.
Yes, there was.
We lost.
No, we're not doing any work.
We're not, okay, there's nothing like that in here.
No.
Okay, am I right in saying it was roughly by the time you added in all your infrastructure, $2 million you lost?
I don't know.
I know you all did lose it, but I'm not saying you all did, but that's what I'm thinking we previously did.
I don't know. I know that there was 6 or 7 that actually did not have mortgages filed.
And I hear from them 6 or 7 about it once a month.
Well, they ought to be thankful. They don't have to make more than that.
I was about to say, Councilman Fulbright just now asked me, and I said, no, they got their home for nothing. They did not sign the mortgages or nothing beforehand.
That's right.
And they call and complain. Want us to fix them. Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, I was going to direct this question to Ann and I. Anna, would it be possible that anyone that's in the pipeline, even if they're set up for a closing, to be notified that we're going to switch the program over July 1? My fear is that someone doesn't get the information and they were set up to close and they were not able to take advantage of the changeover.
Yes, we will be notifying them.
I can think of very few instances where we couldn't extend out a closing
Right.
till we meet where the new program is going to meet the old program.
Right.
Unless they've locked in an interest rate that can't be extended out for closing purposes.
I think that they can adjust almost anything because their down payment's going to increase.
I would just hate for anyone in the pipeline now not to receive the advantageous, where we're moving it to the 25,000.
Yes.
I applaud you all for that program because that's extremely, that's a great improvement.
It is.
And it appears that we did 150, but we were set up to do 230, is that right?
Right, in the
And
past.
so there will not be a change in the amount, it's just a change in the method by which we're giving out the money.
Right, we'll still do about 153.
And that 5,000 that we will hold back, how long will they have to use it for, like a new roof or new appliances before we will apply it to the mortgage?
5 years. 5 years from the day to close.
So they will not lose it?
No.
It will always either go to the mortgage or it will go to making the home more appropriate for their needs.
Right, and they will be in an IBA program while they're sitting there, so we will expect them to participate in the savings program, and then we would match them with $5,000 to go towards any of those expenses.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is it a 2-for-1?
It'll be $5 for every dollar they
Okay.
save.
So it's a 5-to-1, so if they put 1,000 in, then they get the whole 5,000 for whatever purposes they need it for?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Will that include a lawnmower?
No, it won't.
Could we,
include it.
could we look into allowing them to buy a lawnmower for their home?
We can certainly look into it based off of my conversation with the chief. It's the roof, the heating and air, the plumbing, the electrical, or a major appliance such as a refrigerator, hot water heater, or a cook stove.
Well, I'm finding from my constituents, a lot of them say they don't have the tools to maintain the outside. So we might want to think about, maybe not right offhand, and certainly put a limit on what they could use of it for that. But if they're putting in 1,000 and they want to take their 1,000 and buy their, meet their needs for the outside portion of their home, I would think that we ought to let them consider that.
Okay.
Or a storage building even.
Okay.
And siding and windows. I'm wondering if we might not should consider some expansion on that.
And we can certainly look at that. In the conversations with the chief, we were talking about his concern was the age of the homes and that there would be something that they would have to sink a lot of money into after they purchase it that they weren't quite aware of in order to keep the home habitable for them versus just trying to improve it and increase their equity.
Don't mean to interrupt you, but the thing about a new roof, if it's not of an age for the regular lender, they're not going to let them buy the home anyway. So the roof should be in good shape before they move in. That's about the only thing that the lenders do look at now, is they want to see a roof of less than 5 years, and that's the one thing they're getting up there and looking at now because of the insurance stuff.
You're right, and Gary and I were talking about the inspection process just before this meeting started and how we could use that to help us try to determine how quickly they may be using these funds.
Are we still relying on the inspection from the bank because we're a sole second, or are we doing our own inspection?
We've always done our own inspection with the Housing Authority inspector, and that's
Good.
how we continue to do it. And we may be trying to contract with heating and air and electrical and plumbing in the future so that we can have a better idea as to how quickly they may be using these $5,000 funds.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Fulbright?
Yes, my comments are for Ms. Knight. First off, I want to say I'm really happy we're moving it to 25,000. I'm like David, we've been wanting to be like Chickasaws are doing for on the Choctaws for a long time. But my concern is this: so many people in our area, I'm sure everywhere, young people, they get the 15,000, now they're going to get the 25,000. It's a Cherokee and a non-Cherokee. They get married. Okay, more than likely, before the 5 years is up, they're getting a divorce. And the non-Cherokee gets the house. And it's prorated out, they got to pay that money back. Is that right?
No, in a divorce such as that, the map stays with the house, and so unless they sell the home, then they don't have to pay back any MAP. If they sell the home as part of their divorce, then they have to pay a prorated portion of it back out of the proceeds of sale. The Cherokee homeowner who received the MAP will not be eligible for MAP again in the future because they've gotten the benefit from it once. So typically, if there's equity in the house, they're going to figure out a way to distribute that equity. So a lot of times in divorces, we find where there may be equity in the home, and so if it's our Cherokee homeowner that's giving the home up, then they receive some kind of compensation for the equity that's in the house. So they're getting something for it.
I'm sure you explain all this to them at the time they get it, what's going to happen. I mean, you know, nowadays, marriages just don't last. I mean, around here they don't. Or anywhere else either. 50% of people, you know, are getting a divorce. So then we get all these calls and questions about it. And also, I'm really concerned about foreclosure. You know, we have a lot of foreclosures all the time. And down in my neck of the woods, this has been a really popular program, and several people, distant relatives and friends, their kids, young kids, gotten this. Next thing you know, there's a divorce, wham, they start calling me with all these questions, and then a lot of them just lose the house. So are we sending people to credit counseling school before we give them a house, budgeting and stuff like that?
We do that ourselves, and yes, we do all of that budgeting. The last email that I had sent out to everybody, there was approximately, I think, 190 foreclosures since 2005. But since we've increased the financial education and the home buyers training, we've since 2008 we've only experienced 40 foreclosures out of those folks. So we see a marked improvement in the number of foreclosures and MAP clients based on all the financial education we do ahead of time.
So you're trying to make sure that their income to debt ratio is good enough that they
Right.
can make that payment?
We will not distribute MAP if we don't feel that they can afford the payment based off of their income.
Well, it is a great program, and it gives, I think back 49 years ago when I got married, if someone had given us $1,000, we would have been so tickled, and this is just a gift. So, I think it's great. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Byrd, and then we're back to Councilor Watts.
We're good. Thank you, Gary.
Councilor Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 40 for the Claremore office space, or no, this is not Claremore yet. This is just the additional office space overall for the rebuilding of the housing authority. Page 40, model activity office space.
I think that's for rehab, housing rehab.
Okay,
Not for housing authority.
so this is for housing rehab. Okay, so how many additional staff will this accommodate?
I don't know that it accommodates any additional staff, that's what I should say. Provides some much needed space that is decent.
And what total square feet are we talking
Well,
about? I think I saw that.
actually,
It's not finalized.
we probably will program that money. The housing authority will work with us, and provide an office space for us. We then pay the space costs. That's the new plan. So we'll end up probably reprogram.
Okay.
And the original plan was to give them a little bit of office space because the office space they're in floods.
Okay, and then on the next page, page 41, this is Claremore.
Yes.
So it's just parking lot and drainage that this money will be
That's to
for?
improve, no, it's to improve that. That is to make some site improvements and building improvements to that building there. That was purchased a long time ago. For instance, I think the main deal is the parking lot was supposed to have been paved and it never was.
Yeah.
It's just
And then
it's just to take care of that. It's to,
if we could finish out that inners between for services and you guys.
do a little bit of work there and a couple of new air conditioning units.
But you won't be able to access this money for some time, so really this project won't be done for some time.
It could be. I mean, we could possibly ask for amendment to an earlier plan.
Okay. On page 43, the discussion about the prior, are those going to be replaced in prior, or
No.
am I reading it? It may not be replaced in prior.
Chances are they probably won't be replaced in prior.
Is that
We are-
because just the need wasn't there, or?
Yes and no, and I don't know if you're familiar with where the prior logo project is. But yeah, there seems to be a greater need somewhere else, and we're just exploring several different possibilities, but there hasn't been anything, any type of firm commitment put into place. These units were, we had those loading units in 1968, and they were hold on units. We didn't even build them, so
Okay.
a couple of them had asbestos.
What was, on page 44, the next page, it has planning administration, which I would call overhead. It's the $1,917,177. What has it been in the past? Or like,
The planning administration.
or like what was last year?
Isn't that pretty typical what we're doing? I think that's fairly typical.
Could you get us like a 10-year on the planning and administration, like a look at that, what that overhead is?
Just for information, this will be the last year, so we'll have a plan. HUD has determined that this particular piece of paper has been back, because there's a budget.
But it kind of had value for me because I was trying to put a number on how do we judge how much is going to overhead versus programs and services. So I don't know. I mean, I understand they will, but how do you judge that internally? I assume that's a measure that you guys are looking at.
Well, different things you would determine to be would fall into that category, like for instance, policy. There's a number of different items that would be in there that would kind of fall within, that kind of falls in there.
Okay.
And the whole reason they ask for that is because
Let me, I guess maybe a different
admin
way.
see this.
Do you have an assessment of budgeted and actuals on overhead that kind of gives you an idea of how we're doing overall?
We can provide a history for you.
That would be great, just to understand what's really happening. So on page 49, it talks about the IHBG funds being invested. Who's this being invested with?
That would be a finance question because there's a number of them.
Okay, so is this under our treasurer or is this under? Okay.
Yes, I mean, whenever we draw down the money we invest in.
I think that's talked about in the capper, so I'll go back and look at that then if that's what the.
Yeah, and there's only certain types of accounts that you can invest in.
So on page 54, it starts talking, and I did not notice this before, but the Davis-Bacon Act. How are we making sure that subcontractors and such comply with this? Because what do we do? And it's not part of the terror because we had that whole debate, but now it's showing up here. So, and I didn't recall this before.
Well, I believe, we're required, and this is, I believe this is Diane Kelly's group, to actually send someone to the field, interview employees that are working on our jobs, so the job is in excess of $2,000, and make sure that those employees are being paid so they can pay.
And then the contractor turns in with their invoice, a certified payroll.
Okay. So you guys do that auditing in addition to Taro doing auditing then too?
We do it with our meeting.
Okay. But you do have to use Taro, or we're allowed to, right? In terms of NAHASA funds?
This only has to do with the wage part of it. Making sure that they get paid no less than what the Davis-Bacon wage rates
Okay.
are.
And then I didn't remember
Does that
this.
make sense?
Yeah, in past, but some of the self-checks and stuff, wasn't, the remainder of the pages weren't really filled out with anything? Is that just normal, or?
That's part of the APR, the annual performance report.
I guess that comes later after
It comes after you completed your IHP year. You go back, used to, there were two separate reports, which made it real confusing. Now, I think last year, they combined them into one report.
How are you guys measuring your actuals?
It's done like this. It's done, all of those gray areas is part of the annual performance report. At the end of the year, we're required to go through and in those gray areas, measure the outcomes and submit that to HUD.
I have two last questions. On section 3 career services, and there's no page number, but it's in the budget, that line item of $108,443 is zeroed out since it's no longer needed. What was that?
Section 3.
I thought that's how we were doing day work.
No. Section 3 has, Section 3 is totally separate.
What is it then?
Section 3 no longer applies to tribes as of January 8th, because you have a Tribal Employment Rights Act. You give tribal preference, so you've met all the conditions of Section 3. But the day training falls within one of these other categories that Diane gets, and I couldn't tell you exactly which.
So what were we using that section 3 money for? Just compliance
Monitoring.
stuff? Okay. Very interesting. Okay, my last question. So on the total, it looks like we're getting less money overall by almost $1 million. Is that just sequestration or rebudgeting? Because I thought budgets were flat, or what?
Well, we won't know what we're going to get for the
So this is estimated.
estimated.
And how did we come up that it was going to be less than, I guess?
department tells us.
Well, yeah, that was part of it. And we can always go back and amend this plan if we need
Right.
to make those accounts. For instance, yesterday I got notice that the Senate proposed appropriation for the hospitals of $675 million, I believe it was. And that would be nice because it's been at 650 something for years. But we don't know what's
Thank you to everyone for answering all my questions. It's much appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Keener,
Thank you.
I hope you call for questions, is what I'm hoping for.
No, but I'll keep it brief, I assure you. Yeah, thank you for this good report. There's a lot of work involved with this, and I guess most of my questions have been answered. I would ask you to keep this. I read the whole thing through, and when I got to the last sheet, it kind of all came together for me. The last couple of you. So if this is not a part of
it is, and I think
well,
that's what Ashley put it together in summary.
yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you. So thanks for all you and your staff for doing that.
You're welcome. Yeah, it was very easy. It made it easier.
Right, it did. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You bet. Councilor Watkins, thank you, sir. Call to make the question, I'll hear a second. Motion to approve, okay. We're ready to go. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Any announcements?
I have an announcement. The rule starts really quick, like
Yeah.
5 minutes. Second.
All in favor, adjourn? Aye. Passed, thank you.